Did you know that there are no snakes in New Zealand? And did you also know that the kiwi fruit actually originated in China? This and many more facts and stories in this upcoming video. Hey, what's cooking guys? Marcel here again from Slamming It Out. Thank you for watching my video, and today, as promised in the previous video, I'm gonna take you on a journey to New Zealand. If you have not watched the previous video, then I highly encourage you to do so. And in this video I was talking about my time in San Diego, and I was also talking about my mentor, Chef Larry, how he supported me and how he helped me also to obtain a new job when I was finishing off there in San Diego in California in 2004. And he organized me a job in New Zealand, very, very far away from California, but also very far away from my home country in Germany. Chef Larry went out of his way, and I don't know how he did it, but he managed to get me a job as a sous chef. A sous chef is the second guy in charge of the kitchen, in the absence of the executive chef. That was my first sous chef position in my entire career. I was, I guess, 27 years old at the time, 27 or 28 years old. And I was very excited, first of all, to become a sous chef for the first time, because that was my goal. Remember, I went to America. I went to this 18 months culinary training because I wanted to become a sous chef. I wanted to become a kitchen manager. I wanted to learn about leadership and everything else. So I was very excited finally to travel to New Zealand. You know, New Zealand, also when I was thinking of New Zealand, many images came to my mind. Because it is a very exotic country, very far away. Not many people have traveled to that country. Nowadays, yes, many people are traveling to this country. But at this time, I've never been to New Zealand, so it was kind of a interesting and mysterious place. New Zealand is an island country in the southwestern Pacific Ocean and is approximately 2,000 kilometers east of Australia. And there are living approximately 5 million people in this country. I traveled to Auckland, the capital of New Zealand, which is in the northern part of the country, the Northern Island. And I was employed at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, which does not exist anymore today as far as I'm concerned. I think today it is a Pullman hotel, if that has not also changed already. And as mentioned before, I took over as a sous chef. I was in charge of the cafe restaurant, which was a restaurant with, I don't know, approximately 100 or 150 seats. It was an all-day dining restaurant. We served breakfast, lunch and dinner. And it was a very busy operation. The hotel itself, actually, I think it was maybe around 200 rooms. We had one restaurant, one bar at the top floor, I guess, and we had a busy banquet operation, but the restaurant, the all-day dining restaurant, the cafe, was very busy. And for me that was a new challenge, because I was not only cooking a certain station in the kitchen, but now I was in charge of an entire kitchen team, which actually consists of roughly 10 people. And I was also in charge, of course, of the ordering, the purchasing of goods. I had to learn ordering, I had to learn cost control, I had to learn administration, duty rostering, store ordering, and all these kind of things I have learned during this time in New Zealand. And the funny thing was that we had a lot of German in our kitchen team again. I think it was 5 or 6. You know, but this is actually a big number when you consider that New Zealand is very far away from Germany. But what I know is that New Zealand is a very popular destination among Germans. And there are German people who have settled down, who are residing permanently in New Zealand because they love the country. The Kiwis, or the New Zealanders as you call them, They are very laid back people, I must say, I can confirm this. Very easygoing, very pleasant actually to deal and to work with. Yeah, New Zealand itself is just a magnificent country. It is so beautiful and so diverse. It has beaches and mountains and rainforest and volcanoes and many more things. You can drive your car or you rent a car for 1 or 2 hours and you drive outside of Auckland, and then you find yourself within an environment which is from a different planet. There's so much to explore in New Zealand. Unfortunately, I did not take my time to explore the entire country. I was traveling around Auckland a little bit. I remember we also did a fishing trip. Our boss, our executive chef, he rented a yacht, yeah, and invited our entire kitchen team, and we hopped on the boat and we did a fishing trip, which ended actually very badly for me. Not because I didn't catch any fish. Yes, I didn't catch any fish, but the worst thing was that I got seasick, you know, after like 2 or 3 hours on board, because the boat was constantly moving. I got so sick, man. I was lying. I had to lie down. There was a little room. I don't know how you call this. So there you could go down. You could go downstairs. You can sit down, and there were tables and chairs and stuff like that. So I had to lie down because I was so sick, and I just hopefully we go back to the harbor as quick as possible. Auckland itself, the capital city of New Zealand, is actually a very nice city. I liked it very much. I remember it's not too big, it's not too small. It has a TV tower, it has a harbor, it has a main road. I think it's the Queen Street, if I'm not mistaken. And Auckland is very international, very diverse. At the time I was there in 2005, 15 years ago, there were a lot of Asian people there, especially a lot of Asian students from I think Korea, Malaysia, the Philippines, and probably Thailand as well. And Indonesia. So the Southeast Asian community is very big there, especially in Auckland. That's very interesting because you have Japanese hair cutting shops, any kind of Asian restaurants. It is a very diverse culture. This mix between East meets West. That was very interesting for me. And that was also actually the time and the point when I got interested to work in Asia, especially in China, because I forgot to mention, we also had a lot of Chinese people, Chinese students in Auckland, in New Zealand, and then also in our hotel we had a lot of, I don't know, trainees. I think they were from the culinary or hospitality school, and they worked in our hotel as trainees. They helped out when we had big banquet events. So that was the first time I worked together with a bunch of Asian people, and then I was surrounded by so many Asians also in the streets of Auckland, and I got to know these people and I connected with them. And actually my roommate, my housemate, was from Japan. So this is how I got interested into Asian culture, and pretty soon I was convinced that my next station on my list, the next place where I want to work, is definitely China. And that was my intention, and the strong urge and the desire to move to China evolved during the time in Auckland. What about New Zealand food? Of course it is British based because the first immigrants came from England, from Great Britain. But it has also Mediterranean influences, Maori influences, Pacific influences, and of course Southeast Asian influences because of all these immigrants who have been coming from these countries. So the New Zealanders, they love to eat seafood. Seafood is available, of course, because it is an island state. But also very famous are the traditional fish and chips. Then, of course, the New Zealand lamb is very, very popular. And then one of the most popular dishes is the pie, the meat pie. And it is true that in New Zealand there are no snakes. Don't ask me why. I just checked some facts And what is also sure is that New Zealand is the first country where you can experience the sunrise. That means New Zealand is so far east that this is actually the first country where you can witness the new day. And also an interesting fact which I did not know is that only 5% of the entire population of New Zealand is actually human. So what does that mean? When I say population, I'm not only talking about human beings, I'm talking also about the entire animal life. Yeah, all the animals, all creatures who are living in New Zealand. When you consider this as the entire population, out of this entire population, only 5% are human beings. Do I recommend New Zealand? Yes, of course, I do recommend it. What do I like? It is the people and the beautiful nature. What I didn't like during my time in New Zealand, and that's why I also only actually stayed for 6 months, was the housing situation. That was a pain in the butt, to be honest with you. I arrived there. I could stay in the hotel for 2 weeks, but then I had to look for my own place, which is normal. You know, I in other places I lived also by myself. I had to look for my own apartment. But in New Zealand, the housing situation at the time was very difficult. There was only the option for me at the end of the day to live together with other people, yeah, with roommates. And I actually didn't want that. I wanted to have my own place. I wanted to have my privacy. And I tried out a few places, and the places where I could have lived by myself were just too expensive. So I had no other choice but to move into a house, and the landlord was an old lady from Great Britain, and she was okay actually, but I felt very restricted. There are too many rules and stuff like that, and I wanted to have my privacy, and that was one major reason why I actually quit after 6 months and moved to Beijing in China. As I mentioned already, during that time I wanted to go to China, so I was not so much interested in New Zealand anyway anymore, even it was a beautiful country. Today I look at it a little bit different. You know, today I actually regret that I was not traveling more through the country, because it's really a beautiful country. I remember the stories of my colleagues, my German friends, who always on the weekends or whenever they had a few days off, they always traveled, you know, they always traveled around outside of Auckland. They jumped into their car or minivan, and then they just spent days outside in nature. And I didn't do that. I was young, you know, I was like 27, 28 years old, and I was so career focused, you know. And of course I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to prove my boss and my colleagues that I'm worth the position I was hired for, the sous chef position, you know, and I didn't care so much about the country and the nature and everything. Today I regret it, you know. That's why I'm planning to travel to New Zealand soon. I don't know when, but it is on my list. But, you know, I put my focus on China, and I wanted to move to China. I wanted to get there as soon as possible. And then, since I was not happy anyway in New Zealand because of this housing thing, I applied, I managed to get a job, and then after 6 months I moved to Beijing. First time Asia. It was not the first time in Asia. This story about my first time in Asia I will tell you in the next video when I bring you to Beijing, to China. Alright, I hope I could get you interested to visit New Zealand. It is a beautiful country, it's actually a must go, so please put it on your list. And if you are interested to read more of my travel adventures around the world, then I highly recommend to read my book. It's called Slamming It Out. It is available on Amazon and Kindle, and it is also packed with many more useful tips, tricks and other tools if you want to become a better and more professional chef. And if you are working in the kitchen, if you are a team leader already, then I want you to check out my online course on Udemy. It's called Leadership Skills: How to Become a Powerful Team Leader, and the link is down in the description. And don't forget to visit my website www.marcelr.com. There you can find my blog, many more videos and other interesting stuff. Alright guys, I'm checking out for today. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, then please click the like button, give me a thumbs up, and if you have any kind of comments, suggestions or questions, then please put them in the comment sections. Other than that, stay healthy, stay safe, and don't forget, always keep slamming it out. Take care, bye bye.